afternoon, everyone. My name is Donna Gunkel. I'm the Director of Clinical Integration here at United Medical ACO, and welcome to our Friday Wellness webinar. Today is Friday, March 13th, and just to introduce you a little bit to our webinar program, we've been doing this for several years now. Our team includes Kemal Erkan, our chairman of the ACO, myself, also, Dr. Hundle, he is one of the endocrinologists with First Aid Endocrinology, and he is our program director. Caroline Weber, who's here with us today, is one of our 5 dietitians, and she is the program coordinator. And we also have Roxana Portlock and Carla Williams, who are 2 of our social workers that also work in the program and with our patients. What we like to do in these webinars is provide education on a variety of topics to our patients, and we bring on guest speakers each month. We have endocrinology, cardiology, nephrology, podiatry, the social workers, physical therapy. We often bring in some outside professionals as well. We've brought in folks from Dexcom, and some others to talk about some of the CGMs. So things that we know are important as you go through your diabetes journey. So today, I have the honor of being here with our 2 guest speakers. So we have Caroline, who will be doing the nutrition portion at the end, and Letitia. She's one of the nurse practitioners who is with our United Medical Associates group. So we welcome you here today. And our topic today is surviving sick days without losing your blood sugar sanity. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Letitia.
All right. So from what Donna said, today we're going to be talking about how to stay calm, stay safe, and to stay in control when illness hits. You can think of it as your sick day survival guide. When you're sick, your body undergoes physiological stress. The stress can cause your blood sugars to rise or fall without notice. Even minor illnesses can disrupt glucose control. So our goal today is to understand why this happens and how to respond effectively. Next slide. All right, so what happens to your blood sugar when you're sick? Illness is stressful on the body, and stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline tend to push blood sugar up. But certain illnesses, especially those involving vomiting or diarrhea, can make blood sugar drop or swing wildly. Common reasons for sick day blood sugar chaos is the body releases stress hormones, as we said before, that raises your glucose. You may eat less, which lowers your glucose. You may drink less, which increases dehydration and raises glucose. Fever increases metabolism, and some of the over-counter medications contain sugar or raise your glucose as well. And vomiting and diarrhea can cause rapid drops. So the key message is that sick days are unpredictable, but they're manageable. Slide. So your sick day game plan. Having a clear sick day plan is an important part of staying safe and preventing complications. Today, we're going to understand why illness affects your blood sugar and what steps you can take to respond effectively. We'll focus on practical strategies to help you stay steady and confident when you're not feeling well. Bye. So your play 1. Because blood sugar can change quickly during illnesses, monitoring becomes essential. Check your blood sugar every 2 to 4 hours. Since illnesses can cause rapid swings, they aren't always predictable. If you use a continuous glucose monitor, which is the GCM, pay close attention to trend arrows. They can help you catch rising or falling glucose early. Don't rely on symptoms alone, because being sick can mask usual signs of high or low blood sugar. Regular checks help you stay in control and respond before numbers move too far in either direction. Next slide. So play 2, even when you're eating less, During illness, your body still needs its usual background basal insulin. Rapid acting insulin may need adjustment based on your glucose readings. And for non insulin medications, follow guidance from your care team provider. Never stop insulin on your own. And if you're unsure about any medications, contact your provider. They'd rather hear from you early than when the problems develop. Staying hydrated is just as important. Dehydration can cause blood sugar rises and increase the risk of complications. Sip fluids regularly, such as water, broth, or sugar-free electrolyte drinks. If your blood sugar is low, choose fluids with carbohydrates like juice or regular sport drinks. Keeping up with fluids helps support your body and makes glucose levels easier to manage while you're sick. Next slide. So eating can feel difficult, but keeping some steady intake helps prevent low blood sugar and keeping your energy up. If you can tolerate food, aim for small, frequent meals, including bland, easy to digest options like the ones listed here: toast, banana, rice, applesauce, crackers, soups, or popsicles. If solids aren't tolerated, use liquid carbohydrate sources to help prevent hypoglycemia. The goal isn't to follow a perfect diet, just to maintain steady intake so your body has the fuel it needs to help you recover. Next slide. So play number 4 is knowing your sick day numbers. Talk to your care team about when to adjust insulin, what blood sugar range to aim for, and when to check for ketones. Ketone monitoring is especially important for anyone who uses insulin because ketones can build up quickly when the body doesn't have enough insulin, particularly during illnesses, dehydration and missed doses, and when blood sugar is running high. Ketones may rise even if blood sugar isn't extremely elevated, and increasing ketones levels raise the risk for diabetic ketoacidosis, which is a medical emergency. So please keep track of your numbers. Next slide. Contact your healthcare provider if any of these symptoms do exist: vomiting or diarrhea lasting more than 6 hours, your blood sugars staying above 300, you're having moderate to high ketones when you check your strips, trouble keeping fluids down, symptoms of dehydration or a fever that does not improve even with Tylenol. You're not bothering anybody. Just like I said before, we'd rather hear from you before when things are able to be captured than later. So to build your sick day kit, preparing for a sick day kit in advance ensures you have what you need when you're not feeling well, which have these items here. It includes your glucose monitor, your extra strips, your ketone strips, sugar-free drinks, carb-containing drinks, easy to digest foods, a list of your medications, and contact numbers for your care team. Think of it as your diabetes first aid kit, having it available and ready. And psychological considerations. So preparing for a sick day in advance ensures you have what you need when you're not feeling well. Sick days can feel overwhelming, especially when glucose levels are harder to manage, but having a clear plan can make everything feel more manageable. You're not aiming for perfect numbers. We're just trying to look for stability and safety. When you're sick, it's normal to feel more anxious or uncertain. And that's why a structured plan helps you to get through the process. Checking more often, staying hydrated, and knowing when to reach out for help reduces the stress and gives you confidence to make safe decisions. So to close your play, illnesses happens to everyone, but people with diabetes, they need extra tools and knowledge to stay safe. With preparation and awareness, you can get through the sick days without losing your blood sugar sanity, and your care team is always in your corner. And that's all.
I love what you said about you're not being a bother. Because I feel like
Yes.
often as adults, you like gaslight yourself. You're like, I'm okay. I'm gonna be fine. But I feel
Right.
like reaching out just to confirm, like I'll be like, hey, we have the flu. just letting you know. And that way it's not a
Yeah.
surprise if you have like some kind of like, higher blood sugars, like your care team's aware. So I love that you said that.
Yep. We are here. We'd rather hear from you earlier than later. Yeah.
And I think the importance to kind of just take that a step further, only because like some of the things that we see in our case conference, right? So when we're reviewing some of the cases, I think sometimes when patients are sick, they don't always think I should call my healthcare team. I should call my PCP office, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, I should just go to urgent care. I should go to the hospital. When really we want them to call us because who knows the patient better than you, right? Because
Exactly.
you are the kind of gatekeeper, right? Um, because you're the one who sees the patient the most
Hmm.
versus going to one of those places. Not to say there aren't times when that's where they need to go, right? Because if they
Right.
call your office on a Saturday, no one's there, right? They could talk to the on-call doctor who's probably going to
Exactly.
tell them to go to the urgent care. But I think the importance is for patients to know one of the things, our offices typically keep a number of what we call sick visit slots
Hmm.
available each day so that we can be available to, to see patients. And
Yeah.
maybe if you're sick with the flu, like Caroline mentioned, maybe one of the things is that we can do a telehealth with you. So that way you
Exactly.
don't have to go sit in an urgent care office or an ER office or an ER department for 8, 10, 12 hours, right? You can still stay in your jammies at home and you can be cared for by the person who knows you the best. So that's just
Exactly.
my little addition there, just to make sure that patients do understand that, because I think sometimes they think, oh, I'll never be able to get in. But you should try because
Hmm.
there can always be same day cancellations. And like I said, most of our practices do keep a certain percentage of available slots open for patients, whether you're going to come in the office or we can squeeze you in as a telehealth. So just keep that in mind as well. So thank you. That was great information. And I love the little sick day kit because I think being prepared is half the battle, because sometimes you can feel fine when you go to bed, right? And you wake
Yeah.
up and you're not so fine. So
Exactly. It's a whole
keeping
different
Unpredictable.
some
story.
of that stuff in your house ready to go, then you're one step ahead. All
Mhm.
right, Caroline.
I feel like this topic is so fitting because I feel like it's just been like everyone's been sick for so long. And so I felt like, okay, we're nearing the end of flu-ish season and all that stuff. So it's nice to be now is the time to restock that sick day kit because the
Exactly.
next season coming. So we're going to do cold, coughs, and carbs, of course, talking about some nutrition strategies during illness for people with diabetes or without, and just giving some simple tools that we can use to help stabilize glucose, but also to speed recovery up too. So some sick day basics. When you're sick, obviously, like we said before, your body's under additional stress, and that directly impacts your blood sugar levels, increasing your insulin resistance. And so your body's going to need more insulin than usual. So if you're not eating very much and you've got fever, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, it could also increase that risk of dehydration, like we said, which can make it harder for those blood sugars to manage. And at the same time, if your appetite's lower and you're eating less than normal, you might be at risk for low blood sugars, even if you don't have a history of low blood sugars. So if you're still taking those diabetes blood sugar lowering medications, being aware of that. And it's important to keep those fluids as a form of energy, even if you don't feel like eating full meals. Small amounts of those easy to tolerate foods and drinks just helps to keep that blood sugar stable. I like what we said earlier about it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect numbers.
We don't
Everyone's
need
like,
perfection.
yes, it threw me off track. I'm so upset. And like, even if you had really wonderful blood glucose control before, you can
Hmm.
notice, higher blood sugars after, for even a couple, like a week or two. I saw that a lot with patients who had COVID. They're like, I had COVID a week ago. My blood sugars are still wacky. And I'm like, it happens. The best thing you can do
Yeah.
is keep to a schedule,
Yeah.
focusing on that healing because it takes the body a little bit of time. So, how to eat when you don't feel like eating. So, when you're sick, it's common for that lower appetite, especially if you had a GI bug. For days after, even your intestinal lining's inflamed, right? It's irritated. And so, it's normal for your appetite to kind of waver. So during this time, the most important priority, stay hydrated and keep the blood sugars as stable as possible. So sipping fluids, usually about 4 to 8 ounces every hour. Water's great, but even lower carb options like our electrolyte drinks, even the little electrolyte packets, broth, sugar-free popsicles, to maintain that hydration. The alternative, like ice chips, right? Even if you feel like you just can't swallow the fluids, sucking on ice chips is going to be helpful. If you're able to eat a little bit, to keep that blood sugar steady, try pairing carbs with your proteins, of course. We know protein is going to help with healing process, but it's also going to help keep your blood sugar levels stable by preventing some of those bigger spikes. A few crackers with peanut butter, if you could tolerate a little bit of cheese here and there. If yogurt's usually one of those first dairy foods that's nice to reintroduce. You got the probiotics, so a little bit gentler. Even some light fruit, if you felt like you could tolerate that, it's a great source of hydration. So fruits and watery vegetables like your cucumbers are going to be nice light options. Tread lightly though, because of the fiber intake, it might just upset your stomach a little bit if you're not quite ready for that. Our goal is to try to have about 15 grams of carbs every 3 to 4 hours if we can help it. So think of your 15 gram as like a slice of toast, right? So that is a serving of carbohydrate. Could look like a half a banana. It could look like 4 ounces of juice or a regular, sugar beverage, like a regular Gatorade, if you're unable to take those solid foods. So help reduce the risk of our lower blood sugars, but also giving you stable energy levels, because sometimes your energy levels are just depleted if you feel like you haven't been able to get anything solid in for a couple of days. So when you're sick, of course, and your appetite's low and you're not feeling your best, breaking it down into some simple steps to remember: sip, snack, and support. So sipping your fluids regularly, like we talked about, every couple hours, having at least 4 to 8 ounces, or taking some small sips every 15 minutes to break it up to. Avoiding, of course, regular soda or juice unless you're treating a low blood sugar. Monitoring, right? Use your monitoring. We call it like a responsive eating technique. If your blood sugar is running high, you eat in response to those numbers. Your blood sugar low, eat in response to those numbers. Thinking about our simple snacks instead of full meals, small little bits. Sometimes if you're sick, it takes a while for your appetite to bounce back, right? We had a GI bug rip through our house recently. And so it's like, even like days after, you're just like, I don't want food. And so small little bits of those little snacks or fuelings that are protein based, a little bit of carbohydrate to keep those blood sugars stable, is going to serve you well. And then finally, using small, steady carb portions for support as you progress for the days of recovery. If your appetite is still low, you still want many portions of those carbohydrates, usually in the 15 to 20, 30 grams at a time, to sustain your blood sugar levels. So some special situations. So certain symptoms during your illness might require a little bit of a different approach. So vomiting and diarrhea, main priority, preventing dehydration, sipping those fluids frequently, replacing your electrolytes. Bland, easy to digest carbs like our crackers, our toast, some rice. Our favorite in our household is the protein pasta. You feel like you're getting some nourishment with that, where you've got a little bit of protein, you got a little bit of fiber, but it's like that carb base that sits really nicely. So finding the foods, your go-to foods, maybe keeping some stock in your house in case it is to hit you. We always have saltine or Ritz crackers somewhere in the back of our cabinet for emergency grabbing. But like stated earlier, fevers increase the metabolism, right? So your body's typically needing more fluids than usual because you're also at increase for dehydration when your fever is high. So drinking regularly throughout the day and those small sips. And if your blood sugar drops low, but you can't tolerate the solid foods just yet, the liquid form of carbohydrates is going to help raise that blood sugar level into a safe range. Obviously, if you then can tolerate food after you've taken a little bit of that, shoot for a protein source. So say you tolerate a couple of sips of regular Gatorade, you're like, okay, it stayed down. If you want to try to include a protein source after that, that will help stabilize the liquid sugar that you just drank. So other options like our Jello, popsicles, some clear liquids are always nice as you start off. So on the other hand, if your blood sugar is running high and you're not eating, you might still need insulin or your diabetes medication because your illness can increase your insulin resistance. So it's important to follow your personalized plan, discussing with your doctor and care provider. Of course, if you have any questions, being sure that you touch base with them. So fueling recovery, getting back on track after a sick day. So once you're feeling better and the focus shifts to helping your body recover, you can gradually return to your normal routine. So the first priority is going to, of course, like we've driven home, replace your fluids. Even if you don't feel dehydrated, you still could be a little bit dehydrated if you're not getting the same, 64 plus ounces, even if your liquid needs are increased while you're sick. So you want to keep prioritizing that. Next, we work on rebuilding strength and supporting your muscles with protein. So after a few days of lying on the couch and eating less than normal, right, you're depleted of your nutrients. So adding some protein-rich foods back in, nice and gentle, like some eggs, some yogurt, some like nice unspiced like fish or chicken. Those even smaller like protein shakes or snacks that can help your body recover and restore your energy levels so you're feeling a little bit back to normal. I feel like a lot of the time post-flu, of course, there's that post-flu like fatigue, but a lot of the time you just like weren't eating consistently, and so your energy levels are probably just in the tank. So having some nice little quick snacks to kind of bring those energy levels up slow and stable, and then helping to ease your digestion back to normal. There's a lot of information coming out now that the brat diet isn't the best. It was only really intended for 6 to 24 hours anyway, with your bananas, your bland foods, your rice, your toast. It actually has been shown the faster we get back into regular eating patterns, the better the gut bacteria tend to be, the faster the recovery tends to be. So really the brat diet isn't recommended for a long period of time. It's only for that short little time frame when you're in that initial stage of sickness. And then, of course, like we said, after you're sick, you could notice those blood sugars kind of fluctuating a week or two after. So staying in contact with your provider, talking about any insulin adjustment needs that you might have, and then staying hydrated continuously, and then keeping balanced schedule meals as you continue to recover. And just our simple recovery plan. Sometimes it takes longer than 3 days if you're a little bit sicker, but keeping the first day light and balanced, easy, gentle. This would be where the brat diet would come into place. Small, frequent meals and snacks to prevent overwhelming your stomach. Day two, three-ish, you transition back to your usual pattern. So you start to add protein back in, you start to add maybe a little bit of fiber back in, more complex foods than your typical carbohydrate portions. And then day three, returning to normal routine. So by now we should have like our regular meal timing, portion sizing. Of course, it could be like more day 4 or 5, depending on how sick you were. So just some examples, like day one could be soup, crackers, maybe your soup has chicken in it, or eggs and toast, or if you could tolerate some yogurt and maybe a couple of berries if they tolerate well. Day two would be, okay, now we're having more solid texture foods with our carbs. Maybe it's some rice and some chicken, and if you could tolerate a little veggie, great. And day three, full recovery would just be your normal portion sizing with your fistful of carbohydrate, 2 fists of veggies, one a palm full of protein. So as toleration goes, it's really just based on your recovery level, what you're feeling you have the appetite for. But transitioning back to your regular schedule as soon as possible is going to give you the best chance of recovering faster. So just some final tips and takeaways. Having your sick day kit, I love that. And so we keep a basket, we replenish it before every flu season. It's got like your Tylenol, it's got your we've got electrolyte packets and all those things, especially with diabetes. You could have all of those things, keeping a list of things you need to stock up on. Because it's hard to think when you wake up sick, it's hard to think what you need. It's hard to think straight.
Yeah.
So repacking that sick day basket, I think now is a great time. If you've just been sick for a season, repack it because you never know when it's going to hit you. And then following the hydration rule, obviously drink every hour for 4 to 8 ounces to prevent dehydration. Don't skip your carbs, eating full meals if you're able to, using liquid carbohydrates as you need to prevent lows, and then never stopping your insulin or your diabetes medication without guidance from your physician, and calling your physician if you're unsure about your symptoms, right? Even like if you're like, oh, it's nothing, like I think checking in is always better, especially if you check in and they want you to go to the ER, right? Like there are
Oh,
times when you just want to make sure that where you're supposed to go. And
yeah.
usually you could call it on call doctor, right? That's helpful. So it's very helpful. So sick days don't have to derail your blood sugar. But with right foods and your simple planning, you can stay nourished during an illness and recover well in a shorter amount of time, hopefully, with just some planning and intention ahead of time. All right. that is it.
All right. Well, are there any additional questions that either comments that either of you have? I do love the kit there as well because I agree. When you wake up and you don't feel well, that's not the time that you're like, oh, I want to go to Walgreens or Acme, right? That's
Yeah.
where I want to be when really I
I
don't
don't
want to
have
get
any
out of bed.
Gatorade.
Right.
It's the worst.
But I actually
I
like
would
the
say,
idea of the packets because I feel like they wouldn't go
mhm,
bad as fast, right, as maybe something that's already mixed up. I'm just
yeah.
thinking they probably
Yeah.
have a longer
They have
shelf life.
Pedialyte ones too, which is nice because
Hmm.
you don't always want just like a big jug of Pedialyte.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I also was thinking, like, what's your best electrolyte? Like, Pedialyte was designed like for sickness. Gatorade was designed for like sports,
Hmm.
recovery. So I feel like, do you normally recommend a specific electrolyte to patients if they're sick?
I usually tell them go for Pedialyte.
Yeah. It
I
seems like
really like the
candy.
Pedialyte. I like if it's safe for a kid, it's good. Always tell them go for the Pedialytes, the popsicles. If it's like during the summertime, keeps you cool and you're still hydrating. And then a lot of the patients aren't aware that like the sport drinks have the zero option, like the zero
Yeah.
Gatorade or the zero Powerade. They're like, no, I'm like, no, there's zero Powerade that you can actually drink to keep yourself hydrated. Another thing I wanted to throw in there is to also, especially if they're living with a family member and they're having diabetes, let them know where your first aid kit is.
Oh,
So if it's the
yeah.
event that you can't really talk, your sugar's too high, or you're obtunded or something, they know what to go reach for because it'll have the stuff to give you your sugar to help your sugar come up, and at the same time, they'll have access to that contact list of okay, who's our primary? Who am I supposed to call instead of everyone, in a panic, frantic mode, like, what do we do? Call no, just look at her kit. It's right there. All her stuff is right there. So just
Being
let someone
prepared,
know
right?
where your kit is as well. Yeah.
Yep, being prepared, I think, that's,
Mhm.
and we think of that for more major things, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we think of that when they say the hurricane's coming or whatever, but I mean, we have to think of this as, the things that affect us.
Yeah.
Which I do like that you mention a lot, because I think sometimes people don't pay attention. They just see all the Gatorades or the
Hmm.
Powerades, up there on a shelf and they just grab, oh, I like the blue one, not
Yeah.
realizing that there's the blue one with the zero sugar. I
Hmm.
also wanted to mention, even with like some of the fruit pops, because my husband likes the Outshine bars, like he eats those all summer,
Yeah.
but they have those as the no sugar added.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you can get things like that as well that have the fruit pop with no added sugar as
Mhm.
well. So, all right.
Mhm.
Any other final comments from either of you? All right.
Good.
Well, thank you, Caroline, and Letitia. Caroline, we will be back in April. Do you have
Yes,
our,
yes. We are doing one of our intuitive eating series of food obsession and diabetes, so it's going to be one to tune into.
all right. Thank you. We try to bring different topics each month. We do, so I'm just going to take a moment, if you don't mind, Caroline. I'm going to
Hmm.
go out here. So let me just share my screen for patients who maybe are just tuning in for the first time. Also for you, Letitia, if you're not aware, we have out here on our, you can see my screen, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
On umusa.net. So if you go out here, you'll see the For Patients tab. And when you click on there, it says Wellness Programs and then diabetes and nutrition. So we have, and we keep this up to date. We have lots of information out here about our program. It is the only accredited program in Delaware. Um, for physician-led. So your hospitals have the accreditation, but we're the only physician-led ACO. We're accredited by ADCES, the Diabetes Education Accreditation Program. We have our dietitians listed here. And then we have a whole host of things just to let everyone know. We have educational handouts, so they're all listed. There's a link in there. You just click on it and it will take you to a lot of things that will help you with shopping tips, meal planning guide, 100-calorie snacks. So there's a whole host of things here. We also have patient resources. So one of our newest things that Caroline just put out this week is our nutrition newsletter. We're putting it out to our employees, but it's also very important information for our patients as well. So there's some educational information in there, also some recipes. So we'll be doing that on a quarterly basis. We have quick tip videos on all of these topics. They're usually 3 to like 5 or 6 minutes. So look for those. And then our videos, such as the one we did today, are also out here by year and by topic. So we started this back in 2020 with COVID because we could no longer do the group sessions and things like that. So this is one of those things that came out of that. And we think it's really important because our patients can listen. Maybe they don't look at the PowerPoint, but they can listen when they're walking or driving, or they can watch the whole thing. And again, you'll see there's various topics out here where we've had different specialties. We even did a grocery store tour with ShopRite. They actually did that for us. So they actually take the patients through. So that can be helpful as well. And then through the year. So I'm not going to go through each one, but you can see we have lots of different things out here. Some are just with our dietitian, and some we have guest speakers. So we've done a whole host of things from growing your own veggies and things like that in a garden, pantry makeovers, and then we've had lots of specialists who attend with us as well. So just a little side note, we also have our diabetes support group. That is the fourth Wednesday of each month. So you can come out here to the website. If you would like to register, you just register here. And then 1 to 2 days before the event each month, you will get an email with a link so that you can go and join. It is via Zoom as well. So that is a lot of information that we have out here available for our patients. So thank you both for joining us today, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You have a good one.